Deus Ex, as a genre itself, falls into the cyberpunk category. Now, a lot of people don't recognize that genre of writing. They would more likely be familiar if you were to say it's like the Matrix. People understand that. Cyberpunk is the dark world in the near future. It's a dystopian universe where generally you have corporations that are more powerful than the governments. You have conspiracies going on and all the hidden agendas.
I think cyberpunk is basically a very rapid grafting of technology over kind of an unsuspecting society, if you want. It's not, you know, I don't know if you look at Star Wars or whatever, it's like totally, you know, an entirely different vision of the future. Cyberpunk obviously is a very near future, and it's kind of like you need to see the contemporariness, that people need to be able to relate to what they're seeing. Like, you know, like the buildings kind of look like today, but it's kind of like as if it's this very like rapid creeping of all this new, you know, layering of technology and a bit in a kind of like chaotic way type of thing. So I think there's a big part of that.
There's a few things that I try to tie in. One is there's I think it's been talked a lot about is the cyber renaissance, in that it's got a very classical feel in a very modern environment. And I think the music is trying to take those two and bring them together. In the first Deus Ex, I think as it was far more futuristic, it's a very electronic score. It's very synthetic, and it completely works. In this one, I think because it's 25 years earlier, it's a generation earlier, it's mechanical augmentation, it's not nano augmentation. So the music tries to kind of express that. So there's a lot more organic texture.
What it is that when we're researching, you know, what kind of cyberpunk we want to do and all that kind of stuff, and we dive into the subject of, you know, augmentations and kind of transforming biology and all that kind of stuff. At one point we kind of like start seeing a big link between, you know, the Renaissance and a transhumanist era, which is, you know, basically cyberpunk, which is kind of augmenting the status of the human beings and stuff like that with technology. So if you look at I don't know, a mechanical arm and stuff like that, if you look at the sketches of Leonardo da Vinci and all that kind of stuff, you know, the anatomy studies, there's like a strong kind of, you know, visual link between the two. And also during the Renaissance, it was kind of like this whole new opening, this open-mindedness, you know, compared to the dark era of the medieval period, you know, towards kind of replacing kind of society within nature type of thing. Before that, it was all about religion and all that kind of stuff. And now it was more about, let's really start, you know, analyzing it and forget about all the religious taboos and that kind of stuff. And a transhumanist era is a bit also that. It's kind of like, you know, today we still have problems with cloning, stem cell research. Well, not problems, but I mean, you know, like some people are for it, some people are against it. So it's a bit as if transhumanism, it's the same thing. It's a bit letting go of that and really letting go of those taboos and trying to take control of our own evolution.
On this score, I wanted to approach it kind of how the story is that the story is very much about taking something that's organic, like the human body, and then augmenting it so it's better than it was originally. So I approach the score the same way. So any acoustic instruments I've had have to be electronically either created or manipulated. So most of the score is as virtual as possible. We're trying to do it so that every single instrument is done by me alone and virtually. So it was a weird approach, but I think it worked.
At RUS Montreal, we have a very interesting structure here. I am actually the lead writer on the project, but my title is the narrative game designer. So in a sense, I am in the game design field rather than in the writing field. I think it's very important. It's a new position in the industry, a narrative game designer. And my role is to work side by side with the game designers to ensure that as I'm developing the storyline, it's suiting the needs of the game. So I'm familiar with what are the pillars of the gameplay that we're going for, what is the game experience that the game designers are trying to create, and I'm able to take that and create a story that works with it. One of the challenges of working in video games for a story writer is a story is a very linear experience, and you're very much used to building an experience that you are in total control of. You are guiding the viewer to feel what you want them to feel, etc. In a game, it's not a linear experience. The joy of a game is the freedom the player has to do whatever he wants, to be as unpredictable as he wants. And he might not want to follow your story. So one of the challenges, there's always that struggle between the game design and the story design, because the story may need you to experience this key event at this key moment, but you have no control whether the player will be there or not. My job working with the game designers is to really find out where they expect and what they're building for this, and find ways that the story can support it or go in different directions.
The player can play the game in various ways. He can mainly choose the combat approach, where it's all about using your guns, your offensive augmentation. You can also to play it a little bit more subtle by playing it in stealth mode. Also, you have augmentations that you can choose that will help you into being a better stealth agent. We have hacking as well that helps you to create new paths and unlock new alternatives, and also you'll have augmentations that will support that as well. And for social, you'll be able to interact with various cast of characters that you'll be able to try to convince them to do something for you, give you information, and again will fuel some augmentations that will allow you to be better at convincing them. So those are the four important pillars, and what is really key to that is that we want the players to be able to play the game the way they want, and they can go back and forth through all those possibilities and tailor the experience to the way they feel it.
Mesdames et messieurs, bon matin. Si, on s'est pratiqué hier là. Today it's a very important day for the production of the game Deus Ex 3. This is the alpha milestone. The alpha milestone, it's about 15 months of work for the team. And the alpha milestone, it's simply that we will be able to play to have a walkthrough. So we'll be able to play from the beginning to the end of the game, which is very important milestone for us, because from today we'll have 8 months to balance and tweak the mechanics of the game. And it's very important for this kind of game because it's a mix of different mechanics. This is a very specific recipe, the Deus Ex experience, and 8 months will be the time we'll need to balance and reach the quality we want for this game. Bon, ben sur ce, je vous souhaite une bonne journée. On est alpha. Trois ans de travail. 3 ans de travail. Vous vous rendez compte? C'est malade. Complètement malade. Donc là, il nous reste 4 mois pour la bêta. Si on est aussi rigoureux, puis aussi bien organisé qu'on l'est, puis motivé comme on l'est pour l'alpha, on va livrer notre bêta comme du monde. So it's a very critical milestone for us, and we reached it. So it's a very good news for us. Bien fraîche, s'il vous plaît.
Bien fraîche.
Ouais.
Voilà, ça peut pas être plus fraîche que ça.
Merci, Alex. Cheers.
Adam Jensen is the hero of the game. He's a private security specialist working at a biotech firm. He's in his late 30s, and he has a bit of a troubled past in that he was originally a member of the Detroit police force. He was one of the SWAT team members. And there's an incident in his past that he was in control of a SWAT situation. He was given a direct order which he did not agree with, and because he knew that it was wrong. He did not follow that order, and instead someone else did, and as he expected, the whole situation fell apart. He ended up being blamed, and he ended up quitting that job because of the politics and everything around. So we're starting with this hero who's got this background. He's kind of needing to prove himself to the world. He gets hired by this biotech company, and one of the very first things that happens to him is while he is protecting the company, a group of Black Ops soldiers attack. And so from that point on, his quest is to go forward and discover who's done this and basically look for a redemption for himself. The casting for the game was a lot of fun. We originally took it from the standpoint of the first thing we have to start with is scripts. Just audition scripts that won't actually be in the game. In the writing of these scripts, it helped us to discover the characters themselves. Once we had the audition scripts, we went in and we worked with another company, Wave Generation, to bring in a bunch of actors. And it's a lot of fun to sit in an audition system and have actor after actor come in. A lot of times you find that they're nowhere near what you want. A lot of times you find, yes, that's the exact voice. And sometimes you'll get an actor to come in and perform the character in a way that you didn't expect. That makes you go, wait a second, that's the character that I want.
I never asked for this. If you want to make enemies, try and change something. The year is 2027.
When I first got the role, I knew about Deus Ex, but I'd never played it. And I went back and played it, and I was like, this is great. I can see why this is so popular, because I had no idea the popularity of it. And the second, and I didn't say anything, but somehow people found out I was playing the role. And it was just email after email after email. And I just couldn't answer them. I just wouldn't answer them because, you know, they wouldn't let me. But it started mounting, and the pressure started mounting, and I started thinking, man, I hope this is good. If I had known what it was before, not that I would have played it any differently, but I would have maybe, I don't know, maybe I would have bowed out or something because I would have been terrified.
Breaking news. The riots continue in the streets of Detroit.
Eliza is the newscaster. She is a very hologram type character. She's, well, they say that she's emotionless, but she does have something for Adam. She does develop a kind of a warmth and she has a soft spot for Adam.
He is badass. I love him. He's like as far as you can go being a bad guy, but still being a good guy. You know what I mean?
The choice of doing a character in third person and also in first person was actually to create a better connection between the player and his on-screen character. So when you only see him in first person, you create a connection actually with the gun. You see that the gun is the star of the show. But what we wanted to achieve is actually to have the player see his own character sometimes when he goes into cover, when he does takedowns, when he does cool stuff on the screen. We really wanted to showcase the main character, and this helps create a better connection with who you're playing. Who is this guy that you always see? You always see his hand in his gun, but now you can actually see his face, see his reactions, see how he moves in the environment. So that was why we did that.
And with all this augmentation, it's really awesome to see mechanically how it's working. So in the first person, it's not the same thing. You can try to do a takedown in first person, but you will never have the feeling that you will have if you have the full body action and everything. So this is why well, it's to showcase because we have awesome modelers, so we need to showcase.
We're not trying to go for photorealism. So because we're not trying to go for photorealism, it allows us to change our proportions and stuff like that. It's not I wouldn't say that they're caricatures. They're not like that, but obviously they're a simplified version, right, of the human bodies. One of the main reasons is actually, I do believe as an art director that by just replicating exactly the human proportions on screen, it often doesn't look all that good. The hands look really small. You know, you see them in cutscenes and games, the fingers look kind of broken and kind of flimsy and that kind of stuff. Sometimes, no, I think the eyes need to be bigger to see the emotion and have a wider range of animation, that kind of stuff. So we're really going into that. We're simplifying a lot of stuff. Like, we actually think that, you know, getting all the pores in the skin is not necessarily what's important, because if the textures look really realistic, but yet the animation is still a bit, you know, like animations in games, I mean, as far as good as the animators are, there's limitations, you know, and there's like a big clash between, it's like, oh my god, look at the skin, it looks so real, but yet it, you know, it moves kind of like a robot, and we're trying to eliminate that by making them stylized a little. You know, the shoulders are bigger, the head's a little smaller, the hands are bigger. They look like comic book characters basically, but I think done right.